This LOS is describe common technical analysis indicators, price-based, momentum oscillators, sentiment, and flow of funds. Technical analysis tools. So now we're going to look at some technical indicators, and it's broken up into 4 sections. There's the price-based indicators, the momentum oscillators, the sentiment indicators, and the flow of fund indicators. So you can see there's 13 indicators here. If we look at the price-based indicators, there's the moving average and the Bollinger Bands. If we look at the momentum oscillators, there's momentum or rate of change oscillator, relative strength index, stochastic oscillator, and the moving average convergence divergence oscillator. When we move to sentiment indicators, we look at opinion pools and calculated statistical indices. I think opinion polls is easy to understand there as a measure of sentiment. And then finally, we've got the flow of funds indicators. And there's 5 here. The ARMS index, the margin debt, the mutual fund cash position, and the new equity issuance, and finally the secondary offerings. And new equity issuance is IPOs. Okay, we're not going to go through a detailed description of the 13 indicators. That would make the video much too long. What we're going to do is just look at a couple of practice questions as examples of how these questions can be asked based on these indicators, and use that to go back and look a little bit in the text and follow up on a few items. So the first practice question, which flow of funds indicator is considered bearish for equities? A large increase in the number of IPOs, B, higher than average cash balances in mutual funds, or C, an upturn in margin debt, but one that is still below the long-term average. Okay, you can see this question is with regards to flow of fund indicators. So the first thing that you should know is that you need to memorize that there's 5 flow of fund indicators. One is the ARMS index, which is also called the TRIN for short-term trading index, margin debt, mutual fund cash position, new equity issuance, which as I said is IPOs, and then finally secondary offerings. So in this case, which flow of funds indicator is considered bearish for equities? A is correct. A large increase in the number of IPOs increases the supply of equity, and if overall demand remains the same, puts downward pressure on equities. Also, companies tend to issue shares of equity when the managers believe they will receive a premium price, which is also an indicator of a market top. So that's a good little question, because when things are hot and frothy and there's a large increase in the number of IPOs, then managers believe that they'll receive a premium price, you're at a market top. It's actually a bearish indicator for equities. Another quick practice question. Bollinger Bands are constructed by plotting A, MACD line and a signal line, B, a moving average line with an uptrend line above and a downtrend line below, or C, a moving average line with upper and lower lines that are set at a set number of standard deviations apart. Okay, just a quick review. A Bollinger Band is a price-based indicator. Under price-based indicator, there was 2, the moving average and Bollinger Bands, okay? So C is correct. Bollinger Bands consist of a moving average and a higher line representing the moving average plus a set number of standard deviations from average price for the same number of periods is used to calculate the moving average, and a lower line that is a moving average minus the same number of standard deviations. Okay, I said we'd do some practice questions and then use that to go back in the text and look at some examples, but not all 13 indicators. Okay, so in this case, Bollinger Band, there was an exhibit in the text using 60-day moving average and 2 standard deviations. So this was looking at the Gazprom EDR daily price chart from November 2007 to August 2009. So we can see, what do we have here? We've got a 60-day moving average, and the line above is a 60-day moving average plus 2 standard deviations. And the line below is the 60-day moving average minus 2 standard deviations, and that is the Bollinger Band, okay? Market veteran John Bollinger combined his knowledge of technical analysis with his knowledge of statistics to create an indicator called Bollinger Bands. Bollinger Bands consist of a moving average plus a higher line representing the moving average plus a set number of standard deviations from average price. for the same number of periods used to calculate the moving average, and a lower line that is a moving average minus the same number of standard deviations. So a nice little review question that forces you to go back and look at the text and see exactly where that is. And one last practice question to finish this LOS. Which of the following is not a momentum oscillator? A, MACD, B, stochastic oscillator, or C, Bollinger Bands? And the correct answer is C, it's Bollinger Bands. And I just wanted to finish this LOS with that question because I just wanted to highlight again just the importance of memorizing the lists, okay? So here there was 4 categories for different indicators. And for the price-based indicator was moving average and Bollinger Bands. And this question is asking which of the following is not a momentum oscillator. So there's also the section on momentum oscillators where there was 4. And you can see the momentum or rate of change oscillator, relative strength oscillator, stochastic oscillator, and moving average divergence oscillator. So you had to know the MACD is a short form for the last one, the moving average divergence oscillator, okay? So you can see A and B are both on the list for momentum oscillators, and clearly C, the Bollinger Band, is not. It's a price-based indicator. So again, it's just the importance of memorizing the list. A question like this is really low-hanging fruit, should not be difficult if you've got your list memorized. And my final point for this LOS is to go back to the text. We didn't obviously spend time looking at all 13 indicators. That would make the video too long. But I gave you the list, and the last question showed you that questions can be based on really memorization of the list. So again, price-based indicators 2, moving average and Bollinger Bands. Next, we look at the momentum oscillators. There's 4. Momentum or rate of change oscillator, relative strength index, stochastic oscillator, and then MACD. Sentiment indicators, easy, opinion polls and calculated statistical indices. And then finally, the flow of funds indicators, there's 5, ARMS index, which is the TRIN, margin debt, mutual fund cash position, new equity issuance, which is IPOs, and secondary offerings. So you want to go back to the text and scan through those 13 and pick up on some of the characteristics. And that's the last slide for this LOS. Thank you.